What's going on, grappling fans?
Hopefully, first of all, I hope you're nervous to stay mentally in the game.
We're looking at these guys. All our matches have been pretty close. Who's number one? What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Who's Number One. I'm your host, Chase Smith. Joining me today is Corey Stockton. And lots of things going on in the grappling world. We're kind of kicking off the new year with our first major event. Fight to Win is back. And I gotta say, the first thing that's on my mind, though, is really weird not having a mic for me to... We're doing a little bit of a studio revamp, and I'm like, there's this ghostly area now in front of me that I'm not used to having something occupying space. But Corey, Fight to Win 160, sick main event, John Combs versus Will Tackett. How excited are you for this thing?
Yeah, we've had a couple weeks of really no grappling events, no major grappling events going on, and Fight to Win is kicking it off in a good fashion with William Tackett and John Combs. So I can't wait for this event. I think it's going to be a great way to start the year.
Yeah, and Fight to Win is, of course, coming back strong. You know, they took a brief vacation just like everybody. I mean, very, very short. And they'll be going nonstop, basically, throughout the new year. They're going to be in Florida for the first several weeks. They're going to kick it back over to Texas. They'll be in Dallas and then in Austin by March. If you guys are in those areas, be sure to submit your fighter applications on fighttowinbjj.com so you can get on the cards, compete, get a little pro action. It's definitely, if you've never done it, never tried it, it's a very unique experience. They make you feel like you're in the main event no matter what time you are on the card. You fought on Fight to Win, right, Corey?
Yeah, I had one match. I think, Chase, you had, what, one or two?
I have two matches, yeah, and it's a blast to watch and, of course, to compete in, so highly recommend it. But to kick off the year, like I said, they're going to be in Florida and Miami, and they're leaning heavily on that East Coast talent. We're going to see Cyborg next week versus Tim Spriggs in the main event, which is absolutely bananas match. Super sick. Enrico Coco's on the card, so is Tex Johnson, and it just gets better and better each week. So stay tuned for that. But let's turn our eyes a little more in detail then to Fight to Win 160. That's going to be on Saturday, January 16th. It kicks off at 4:30 local time there on the East Coast. And like you mentioned, Will Tackett versus John Combs in the main event. Tyler, if you could roll a Tackett clip, please, we'll get things going here. So Tackett, of course, just a couple days ago, took home Breakthrough Grappler of the Year for 2020. Had a phenomenal year, I should say. This particular clip is from Who's Number One. And Corey, what are your thoughts on Will Tackett's kind of progression throughout last year?
Yeah, I mean, there's really, in my eyes, very few candidates who could stand up there as Breakthrough Grappler of the Year. He had 8 of 9 submissions, I think, was what he finished the year with. Most of them against, top level black belts. Tackett's still technically a brown belt, but he's submitting everybody. He's getting more experienced. He's getting bigger. So he's had a phenomenal 2020, submitting guys that have been black belts for years and years.
Yeah, let's not downplay the fact that Tackett is getting physically stronger. I mean, he's been putting in a lot of physical and conditioning work there with Cody Steele in Austin, Texas, and it's paying dividends, it seems like. But there's a little bit more on the line here on this match than just a W for Tackett. John Combs is the last man to submit him in competition. Yeah,
and that was, I think, the beginning of 2019. That was at the ADCC trials in the final. And John Combs, he was unstoppable that day. Let's face it.
Yeah, let's go ahead and roll that clip as we talk through this. So not only did he lose by submission, which is, of course, a stinging sort of injury in itself, this was his ticket to ADCC.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot on the line here. I think he had a pretty incredible day, if I remember correctly. He submitted more than one opponent on his way to the final, and then fell victim to John Combs' nasty guillotine, often referred to as the comatine.
Right.
It's almost 100% finish. If he gets that bite, few men can get out of there.
Well, and earlier in this match, Combs had a bite and Tackett escaped, but you can only escape that. How many times? Most people can't escape it once.
Yeah, no, it's a thing of beauty. John Combs' guillotine, and no shame in falling prey to that. Many have, but you can see why William Tackett would love to get that one back. How do you think they match up now? A lot has changed in the game since this match. Of course, it's been almost 2 years, and I would say both have evolved considerably, Corey.
They've definitely developed. I think a big change for Tackett is just his age and experience. Right, he was 17 when he faced John last, so he's running with lot more of the big named opponents that Combs has been facing for the last couple of years. I'm really excited to see. This is kind of a way for him to. I mean, he's broken through, right? We've talked about this, but right, right. But a way for him to kind of prove how far he's come. But Combs has developed a lot too. I think his game's gotten a lot more rounded than just guillotines. He's tapping a lot of guys from the back, and with Kimuras, he is really he is filling in to this role as a veteran.
Yeah, it's true. And Combs kind of went on a Ronin's journey, if you will, throughout 2020. He left his gym where he was training at Easton BJJ there in Colorado, and he sort of just traveled around the country. In fact, he even spent some time training with William Tackett and Cody Steele there at Brazilian Fat Factory in Austin, Texas. Combs is one of the nicest guys in jiu-jitsu, also very talented, so why would you say no to him dropping in a few times? But he just settled in there on the East Coast at, was it Studio 84?
Right.
Oh, no, sorry, that's the Meows.
Oh, no.
It's another studio. Let me look it up real quick on Instagram. The Meows just launched Studio 84, I believe, but I'll get that information for you in a moment. But he just found a home there in New Jersey, I believe, and I'm curious to see how that new assignment has affected sort of his training regimen. Oh, it is Studio 84. Okay, the Meows have a different name, but it's Studio something for them as well. But I think is Jay Rigobuto behind Studio 84?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a Henzo affiliate, and John has been getting a lot of good training, and you've even seen Nicky Rod kind of jump in there along with some other East Coast talent. But I do believe John's game has improved considerably, and I'm excited to see where they go. I think John often baits the guillotine, and that has been very successful for him, but Tackett's so good at that body-lock pass. I don't know if it'd be worth it at this point. Well, I'm curious to see how that plays out.
Yeah, although that's a really interesting dynamic, right? The guillotine and the body-lock pass are kind of, almost mirror images of each other. Like, taking a body lock, you leave your neck, but taking a neck, you leave a body lock. It's one of those games that could, it really just becomes who's better at this game. And
both are very good
we'll get a chance to see
their
it.
Respective attributes there. Absolutely. So that's the main event. That's set to go down right before 10 o'clock on Saturday night, East Coast time. But they are supported by a very, very exciting card. And I want to kick it over to actually Pedro Marinho versus Gabriel Almeida. Pedro Marinho is one of the most exciting up-and-coming athletes from Gracie Barra, or any team in the world. Another guy with an absolutely devastating guillotine, Corey.
Yeah. He's finished guillotines on some of the best and the brightest. I think he guillotined Roberto Jimenez a couple years back.
I think that was just the Nogi Worlds 2019.
Right. But he's also got just devastating leg locks.
True.
And an incredible pace.
I believe also another Roberto Jimenez lost there. That's on your mind, it seems
They've had a little bit of a budding rivalry.
They have. I think Roberto's also notched some wins there. But we have a clip, actually, of Pedro demonstrating his absolutely savage finish here against Johnny Tama sometime in 2020. I believe this is one of the Kumite series. And another guy, if he just gets a bite, oh my God, it's so tight. And he's just fearsome. I mean, you look at his face and you can see there's 110% squeeze going on right now.
Yeah, he sets that guillotine up from everywhere, whether it's standing or in a scramble like this, and you can just tell that when he gets that grip, he sees blood or he smells blood.
And Johnny Tama is one of the hardest guys, I would say, to submit in the game. He's very wily, has impeccable defense. He does not tap to much. So for Pedro to really throw on a guillotine and get the finish like that says a lot in just a moment. But Pedro is taking on Gabriel Almeida. Gabriel Almeida is one of the athletes that we saw probably the most of. Right. I would say he's top 5, top 3 most active athletes in 2020. He was on Fight to Win. He was on Third Coast. He was doing everything he could, plus, of course, the IBJJF Opens. And we saw an up and down year for him, but also, I would say, market improvements, Corey.
Yeah, and it was a lot of it was an up down year because of who he was up against. Mm-hmm. So he was not shying away from anybody.
Absolutely.
He fought everybody you can think of.
Yeah. No, he had a really interesting year. He fought guys like Shanji Ribeiro, Felipe Andrew like 16 times. Hamlo Bahal. So he was taking on the new generation as well as the legends of the game. So I'm looking forward to seeing Gabriel's experience as a black belt take on Pedro Marinho. Pedro's still a brown belt, right?
He is still a brown belt.
Yeah, he's still a brown belt.
Shocking to me.
Exactly, but by no means in the Nogi arena. Going to be short on skills that's going into this match. So that's actually third from the top, but I would say my second most anticipated match of the night. I'm really looking forward to seeing those guys put in work. Pedro had been kind of off the scene for a few months. I think he's rehabbing some stuff and was forced off of a couple cards towards the end of the year. So I'm really happy to see him back in action, and that's going to be a fire matchup. Third most anticipated match for me would be then Jaundice Gracie versus Hugo Marquez. That's the co-main event, and both guys very solid athletes. This is a gi match, by the way, and yeah, Jaundice had a great year on the IBJJF circuit. Actually, he closed out a couple majors, I believe, and really looked phenomenal. Hugo Marquez had a very up and down 2020. Didn't see him that much, but I believe if it wasn't the end of 2019, it was during 2020 when he relocated from Brazil to the U.S. I think he's on the East Coast, maybe in Boston, and that's a tough move, Corey, to sort of like uproot like that.
Yeah, and that was following his, I think, 2018 No-Gi World Championship.
Exactly.
So he's been there, right? But there are things that get in the way and kind of slow you down or throw you off your game a little bit. So I'm hoping to see him bounce back.
100%. We got a clip here from Jaundice Gracie. I think this was from Pans, I want to say. Let's go ahead and run that. And this is versus Matthias Luna, one of the Luna twins there from Checkmat. And they're extremely game. The Luna brothers are both very, very good. And Jaundice just blows by the guard here in a moment and really takes advantage of the Luna of Matthias in a way that you don't see all that often.
Oh.
He ends up getting a sub here in just a moment. They're about to roll out of bounds, and he hops on the back. But Jaundice is extremely exciting. I think he's got an underrated submission game, Corey. I think a lot of people think of him maybe as more of a points and position-oriented player, but you cannot slip up for a moment or he will end the match.
Yeah, and he is very much a points position fighter, but he dominates on points and position and gets you to give up anything as a means of getting out. Yeah.
Now I will say that I'm not sure either athlete in this case, Hugo or Jaundice, has a distinct advantage in the fight to win rule set. I think they both have a very traditional approach, which makes this kind of interesting, right? Because neither will probably spam submissions, which we've seen some of the veterans of the fight to win format do, Corey.
Right. And because of that, we may get a little bit more of a the scoring may be a little bit harder. It's easy to count submission attempts, but maybe a little bit more challenging to see what the point system looks like if it's more traditional jiu-jitsu applied in a fight to win rule set.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's going to be a really fun match. I'm looking for high action between both guys, and it should be a lot of fun. Now, those are the top three matches on the card, but I do think there's always 40-plus matches on Fight to Win, and a lot of them are worth watching. Let's go ahead and talk about some of the matches you shouldn't sleep on. These are either veterans or up-and-comers that are definitely worth keeping an eye on. And the first one that jumps out to me is Alexandre Pimentel versus Guilherme Neves. Alexandre also goes by Pulga and is cited by Cyborg and many other people as an omoplata master, the guy who has really reinvented the omoplata in the early forms of the technique. And I actually got to see him teach at a seminar where he's doing the omoplata. Man, I've never seen somebody get so vertical as far as like going for the initial attack. He really has a great extension, and I definitely expect to see omoplata in this match. That's a lot of fun. But what else is jumping out to you there, Corey?
We got to see Junie. Junie comes back.
That's right.
Junie had a crazy year last year, especially on the Fight to Win stage. He finished the year with a loss against Kennedy. Who can blame him on that? But he's finally back on the Fight to Win stage. Maybe we'll see some action from him again. I believe is he defending his title in this fight?
I don't know if it's a title match, but he's taking on Adam Ferrara. And yeah, exactly. Junie's always fun to watch. He's right there as far as the super elite level, top 5, top 3 in the world. And I'm looking forward to seeing him get more cracks at it. And he really excels at Fight to Win. I feel like it's perfect for his game. And yeah, he's always hunting the sub. We also see Frank Rosenthal on the card, another DDS member, taking on Mauricio Gomez. And then Justin Rennick from Texas, I think a teammate now of Tackett and Cody Steele there over at Fight Factory / Checkmat, is taking on Jay-Z Cavalcante.
Right.
That's another kind of mix of generations there, Corey.
Yeah, Jay-Z will be on the home team, right? Fight Sports is right in the backyard of Miami there.
Yeah, exactly. And Jay-Z actually had a pretty fun performance, I think, at Subversive. We saw him with some good matches not that long ago, maybe 3 or 4 months ago. And then for me, there's a must-watch brown belt match. We have Talis Pontes at maybe his debut I think he just got his brown belt at the end of the year. He's always doing IBJJF Opens, but we were at all of them. So
Yeah.
I don't remember him having a brown belt match. Maybe I'm wrong, but I know it was very recent that Talis was promoted. He's taken on Kevin Granados, and Talis to me is one of the brightest stars.
He's got an absolutely savage loop choke. It comes out of nowhere.
Yes, Talis is super fun to watch, and I'm looking forward to him do his thing on Fight to Win. So guys, we have a bit of an abbreviated show today. We're going to try and keep it short, and in fact, for those of you who are watching and paying attention at home, we may be even doing a little bit of a rebrand coming your way on the podcast, but I will have more details for you soon on what that might look like. So I hope you tune in to Fight to Win 160 this weekend. Also, the ball will keep rolling every other following subsequent weekend. Fight to Win is back and going full steam ahead. We'll be there every step of the way. And yeah, have a good weekend. We'll see you in the next episode of Who's Number One, coming your way soon.